Hey TJR, the rest of the guys there at Bomb Squad. So I was making a video for a client on a very similar subject. So I figured it would be, than typing all this out, it'd be just a lot easier to kind of give you a visual representation and show you how that question of, is it more of a pushing off the backside or is it more of a pulling with the lead side? And as I said in the paragraph there, it's literally a combination of both. So let's take a look. And this is actually Robert's swing that we recorded. I believe this was earlier in the year. But regardless, this is his swing. It's a very good swing. It's a professional golf swing. Obviously, I don't have Adam Scott hasn't been in the studio yet, so it'd be just guessing on the actual percentages. But rest assured, he's moving in a very similar manner. Same with Tiger, especially under the Butch eras. But let's take a look. So if you haven't seen this information yet, let's give you a real quick look down here. So this is his right foot. And let me put just circles. I don't know how well you can see the mouse. So that's his right foot. That's his left foot. Just exactly, and the ball would be up here. So this is just exactly if you were standing on this kind of pressure map, what it would look like. Now, that's a good point that I need to clarify. We're dealing with pressure. The actual mass weight, right, which is what your mass is your weight, essentially. That doesn't move a whole lot in the swing. So the idea of you move 80% of your weight to the back foot, 80% of your weight to the front foot does not happen. We don't move our mass that much. We move our pressure a massive amount during the golf swing, or we should. The pros are exceptional at moving their pressure a lot. Amateurs move it very little, but they move their mass a lot. So it's the opposite side of the coin. Pros move pressure a lot, mass a little. Amateurs move pressure little, mass a lot. We're trying to get more and more players to move their pressure and not think about weight. So I'm gonna steer this conversation towards pressure movement. And I understand that a lot of people just kind of interchange the terms, but just to be specific about it, as we go down this video, we're talking about pressure movement. You're going to see his mass does not move a whole lot. Now, what a player describes, that's completely different. If Adam Scott, now I haven't heard him say that, so it's interesting that you brought that up, which is if he feels like he's pulling more, that's fine. That's, we all have to play with our feels to kind of fill the gaps in what actually happens. But rest assured, this is how he's moving. We haven't captured any really good players yet who don't move in a very similar manner. So going back to the push or pull. So he's pretty evenly distributed. You'll see it when the club starts going 50-50 on each side. Right now he's pushing off of his left. So this is even a precursor to what you were talking about. Good players push off of their left foot. You can see he has way more pressure here in his left foot to start the swing than he does in his right foot. Now you can see, you only see the ball of his foot on this right side, but look right here. His foot looks. This is why we don't trust looks necessarily, because his foot looks flat, but he's got no pressure. And these pressure plates are very sensitive, almost to the point where if you have more coins in your right pocket than in your left pocket, it's going to pick it up. So he's not pressuring his right foot at all because he's pushing off more to get the swing started with his left foot. So you're almost always going to push off the opposite side you're moving the club. So he pushes off. Now he shifted the pressure to his rear foot. Now he's actually starting to change directions in his swing now with his pressure. And it starts from the ground. So he's starting, even though the club is still got a long ways to travel to complete his backswing. Watch this center of pressure indicator here. It's going to start moving back towards his lead side. And you can see, again, it looks like his feet both are planted firmly on the ground, but you can see how little pressure now he has on his left foot. So this is what I was talking about with a mechanical disadvantage, or not having the same advantage of his right foot. He has very little to pull with in the golf swing. So if you see Bubba with his heel or Jack Nicklaus with his heel way up off the ground, Sam Snead, there's a lot of players in the Hall of Fame that did that. It's easier to see than with someone like Jason Day or maybe Adam Scott, who appear to have both feet pretty flat, especially on grass. But rest assured, their pressure distribution inside those shoes is not anything near flat, not anything equally distributed. So he's got just a much bigger advantage, mechanical advantage, to push off of because he has more pressure into the ground, which is an indicator of why he's pushing more pressure into the ground to start pushing towards his front side. And then you'll see here very quickly, that his pressure starts to get back on his front foot. You can see the front foot starting to show more pressure getting to it. As that transfers from back foot to front foot pressure, he's able to start pulling a little bit more. So he's pulling pretty much now with the left side. And then he kind of quiets and pushes more straight vertically down into the ground at this point. So to answer your question, it's initially, to change directions, a larger push than it is a pull. And then at a certain point, the scale tips and he's pulling more than he's pushing. So it's both. Now, you feeling this, especially a player describing it, you're going to describe it different than Robert would, different than Adam Scott would, even different than I would. But the same thing is occurring. So it's really, even you're listening to a player describe it, you have to be very careful about taking that as the gospel, in the sense of they're describing what they're doing. They don't necessarily see the data associated with it to describe what's happening. Now, if you don't do either one of these really well, which a lot of amateur golfers don't, then we actually have to look at what's happening. I'm not sure if Adam Scott's ever been on pressure systems or not. I would have to think that he has been, but those guys usually keep a lot of that stuff under wraps. But this is what happens in a good swing, and we have a lot of good swings that we capture, and this is very, very common among good swings. It's an early push and then a later pull as that pressure switches side. You can see just how little his mass moves relative to his pressure move. So I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know. We'll try to make it more clear. But it's both. One happens earlier, and then the other one kicks in, and it happens with all good players. Thanks for the question. Great question.